The 2016 Cadillac CT6. This is the large flagship sedan we've been waiting for a long time from Cadillac, and it's finally here. I'm Jay, and I'm back with the latest Car Buzz unboxing review. But before I get started, I want to thank Woodland Motors for letting me come on down and film this really cool car for you today. I'm super excited to talk to you all about it. So the CT6, it literally just went on sale a few months ago. It's quite just off the truck onto the dealership lot here. And this is Cadillac's new flagship. It competes with the likes of the BMW 7 Series, Mercedes-Benz S-Class, and the Audi A8. And the moment you step inside, of course I'll get to more interior details in a few minutes, you can see that Cadillac has invested a lot of time and effort to make this car just fully competitive against the German automakers here. Now, the last time Cadillac built a large flagship sedan, it was called the Fleetwood, and it was it was pretty much a grandfather's car. It was just like literally a land yacht. It was boring, it was kind of luxurious enough, but it just wasn't exciting. And the CT6 here is the exact opposite. It's not only big, but it's fun. It looks great. And under the hood here, this is an all-new 3-liter twin-turbo V6. It's got a total of 404 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and with this particular car, it sends power to all wheels, meaning it is all-wheel drive. It's built on a brand-new rear-wheel drive platform, but with the exception of the base engine, and I'll talk engines in a few minutes as well, the twin-turbo V6 is all-wheel drive only. Alright, so the interior. And like I mentioned, if you've seen a Cadillac Fleetwood, this is just worlds apart. It completely different Cadillac. Remember, this is the new GM. Old GM filed bankruptcy, and new GM is all about, well, at least with its Cadillac division, it's all about taking it to the Germans. Everything inside, this is all real wood, black leather. There are no hard plastics to be found. It's all soft touch materials. I love that brushed aluminum trim there. It's just a really nicely laid out in terms of like luxury and materials. To be honest with you, if you were to tell me about 15 years ago that Cadillac was capable of building a car like this, I probably would have just laughed. And the rear seat, my goodness, it's also really big, and I'll show you more of its little secrets in a few minutes. And Cadillac actually spent a lot of time developing the rear seat because it wants the CT6 to sell really well in China, and in China you have a lot of businessmen and businesswomen who love to be chauffeured around in big sedans just like this, and they expect a lot of creature comforts in the rear. So let's talk about this dash design, because at first I liked it, but the more I stared at it, I just don't think it's quite enough of a standout within its class. I did a previous unboxing review of the BMW 750i, and that interior, or at least its dashboard, was just quite something. It just took everything to another level, and it'll be interesting to see that the next generation CT6 that I know Cadillac will eventually build several years down the line, how they're going to catch up with that. But let's hear this engine for a second here. Okay, so back to the interior here. Now, you have this really nice 10-inch touchscreen. This is the latest version of Cadillac CUE infotainment system. It's pretty much their competitor to BMW's iDrive. I found this to be a very nice system. I really like having it on the touchscreen. I think it's easier to use. It's overall very well organized, and there's some nice shortcuts to major functions. Like you can do one-touch customizable presets for radio stations as well as destinations in the nav system. And here you can actually control the touch screen, not by touching the screen itself, but also there is a panel on the center console. It's like a touchpad, literally. And the reason why Cadillac put that touchpad where it is so that drivers, at least in their view, are able to better control the screen's functions without having to lean over too far to touch the touch screen itself. For me personally, I didn't think, leaning over from the driver's seat to the touch screen was an inconvenience at all. In fact, I just didn't really see the need for that touchpad on the center console to begin with. Now, again, this is just my subjective and honest opinion here, but I prefer just touching or using the touch screen itself as opposed to the touchpad. And of course, this comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capability, Sirius XM and HD radio, and a premium sound system with a total of 34 speakers throughout the car in 19 locations. Front seat passengers, you get dual zone climate control, of course. Everything you can imagine, and especially with this particular CT6, because this is the platinum trim. It is the top of the line, the best engine that you can get with every single feature added in. And when I talk about pricing, it's actually within this segment a very good deal. Okay, so how does a big sedan like this drive? Well, like I said, it's built on a new rear-wheel drive platform, and this particular CT6 has all-wheel drive. I would call the ride, it's firm, but it's controlled. The suspension is really responsive, and thanks to the rear-wheel steering, it just makes it even more responsive. And it also has something called magnetic ride control, and that has an adaptive suspension, and when it works with that rear-wheel steering, you just have a really well-planted car, and I like having the all-wheel drive. Oh, and this is really cool. Yeah, these dual sunroofs. It's not just like a panoramic sunroof. The rear seat passengers have their own. Just a nice touch. Well done, Cadillac. Well done. So overall, in terms of driving, because of those features I just mentioned, the magnetic ride control, rear wheel steering, those things make a big car feel fairly agile. And the driver has this really nice 12-inch information display here. Very clear. The colors are very, very sharp. Again, applaud to Cadillac here for really taking the time to get things right. And take a look at that front end, and in a second, compare it to the back. I'll talk about that in a couple more minutes here because I have something to say about the rear end compared to the front. And that's a heads-up display. Again, very clear colors. It's not like they were back in the late 1990s. If you'd seen a previous Corvette from that era, it just wasn't a very good head-up display. Cadillac got it right this time. And as you can imagine, if you've seen any 7 Series or S-Class, every single passenger can find the perfect seating position. Again, this is full-blown luxury, so you should expect nothing less. So in terms of safety, this thing's got a total of 7 cameras on the front, sides, and rear for this all-around view system. And what's cool is that you don't need a dash cam at all. You can actually save automatically recorded video from the front or rear cameras, to an SD card that's located in the glove box. So in case you're ever in an accident, you got it on file and video already. All right, this rear seat, because it's what a place to sit. I mean, just look at what these rear seat occupants have access to. They can adjust the seats. They have their own climate control system. Plenty of storage. These are features that when they first came out in let's say the BMW 7 Series, or even those old Maybachs from Mercedes-Benz, everyone was just wowed. Now you're getting it in a Cadillac. These are really cool. These dual power retractable seat back screens. They have tilt controls. And what's really cool is that you can use, let's say, a Google Chromecast or an Amazon Fire Stick with the onboard 4G LTE Wi-Fi network to make the rear seat entertainment into an actual streaming hub. And there's even a Blu-ray player up front that can be shown on the rear screens too, thanks to a rear HDMI input. Of course, you got rear seat climate control. And there's also 6 USB ports throughout the car for, you can be used for various gadgets. All right, so I want to talk about some things that I really like about this car. The bottom line is I really like all the connectivity options that I just mentioned. The rear seat is just such an awesome place to be. I think this thing drives very well for such a large car. And as you saw briefly, and you're going to see more of it momentarily, the front end design. It's killer. It looks great. The LED lights, it's aggressive. I also like that trunk space. Big trunk. And there's that front end that I like so much. You can see the Cadillac emblem. They got rid of that crest going around it. They thought that looked too old-fashioned looking. Reminded them of the old Fleetwood. I couldn't agree more. And I love the really short front overhang. Just a very well proportioned car. Its dimensions are overall great. I love the silhouette it gives. What I don't like as much is the rear taillight design. I think a lot more could have been done here. A little disappointed with that. All right, so let's talk the pricing here. So a base CT6 with the base engine, which is a 2-liter Turbo 4, believe it or not, starts at about $55,000, and that comes with standard rear-wheel drive. Now, this fully loaded CT6 Platinum with the twin-turbo 3-liter V6 comes to a total of $88,460, and that, compared to about $55,000 to $86,000 or $88,000, that is a huge price difference there. Big range. But I want to talk about the competition's pricing. Now, the 7 Series, the A8, the S-Class, those all start off at over $80,000, and good luck ever trying to find a base model for around those prices. So the 750i I detailed in the review that came to over, I think, $130,000, somewhere in that ballpark there, and this car, little less than $90,000 all in. But when I talk about that pricing in terms of is this really a competitor to the 7 Series? Come to think of it, maybe it could be a better fighter for the upcoming Volvo S90 as well as the upcoming Lincoln Continental. So I haven't had a chance to check out those cars yet, and I hope to in order to get a better idea for a comparison's sake. So the bottom line is, for pretty much a base model Mercedes S-Class or BMW 7 Series, you can get a fully loaded Cadillac CT6. Well done, Cadillac. You accomplished your goals. I'm ready to forget about the old Fleetwood forever. So I'm out of time for today. Everyone, thanks for watching. Any questions for me, leave them in the comment section below. Any future reviews you'd like me to do, leave those suggestions in the comments too. Be sure to subscribe to the Car Buzz YouTube channel and check out the full review of the Cadillac CT6 on carbuzz.com. Until my next review, thanks for watching, everyone.